Welcome to the Everyday Awesome Project, where we bring you inspirational stories and game-changing strategies to live your most awesome life. Hey, superstars, welcome back. Polly here.
And Sam Pruitt. What's up, beautiful humans?
Oh, Sam, it's so good to have your energy back. Oh,
I know.
yes, yes. 2 weeks out from surgery. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Awesome. I can tell you're just like every day, just higher, talking louder, moving more. Good things. All good things. It's good to be back in the body. Well, today, speaking of being in the body,
Ah,
this episode is going live in December. So we are like, let's just help our people through the holidays with our favorite thing, for the,
hmm
not getting sick and fluffy, excuse me, not getting sick or fluffy, but it's around immunity boosters, right?
hmm
Because
Yeah.
that's the key is, I was doing some research because I've heard, there's all this, I caught a cold or cold season. And it's like, it's actually just a lower immunity season, right?
hmm hmm
Yeah.
And there's lots of reasons that your immunity gets lower, and we will definitely talk to people about that. But yeah, this is basically, well, you and I could talk for hours and hours and hours on this subject matter. We're going to talk a little bit like at a high level
Mm-hmm.
about these two things. So A, don't get sick. B, don't get fluffy. Okay. And then we're going to give some real like, do these things.
Yeah.
They will make a difference.
Mm,
We're here to have impact.
mm,
And you and I are not just pulling these things out of our rear end. A, we practice these things. We believe in them 1000%.
mm-hmm.
But it's scientific research
Mm,
and proven tactics and techniques
mhm.
about the human body working at its optimal level. We believe in this all year, but we're going to really double down on this holiday challenge that some people might be in. And I was even explaining, I had company over the Thanksgiving holiday, and of course I love having company. It's family and friends that I adore, but even I had to counter and bring about awareness for myself of like, whoa, 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 now I'm doing some things differently. Let's make sure I have awareness and I am strategic about these choices. We
Yeah,
all do it.
I think two things I can think about. I had a long phone call with a friend last night, and she was just talking about how Thanksgiving, she was like mentally preparing herself for, family time, let's say, like emotionally and mentally.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, didn't go as planned. Let's just say that, right? And it was like,
Yeah.
kind of the worst case scenario was the end result. And just, like, and she's, a warrior of light and working on herself and, nervous system regulation and emotional stability in the face of, triggers with family and stuff like that. And it was like, Mom, and I'm like, yeah, you went into the ring, you went into the ring of fire, and that's what sometimes families, depending on the nature and the dynamics in your family, it can be. So, whether it's long trips, like one of the things I want to talk about is a lot of people go skiing and they get into elevation, and I don't think people are properly acclimated or understand that, because that could whoop, hurt your immunity as well. So really looking at, and the other thing I want us to talk about is, as we talked about just before air, is like listening for your body, not just like throwing in the towel, like, oh, like I went to 3 parties in a row, or I drank alcohol 2 nights in a row or whatever, and I feel like shit, and oh, the holidays are shot, I'll just like turn it over.
Debauchery for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, or
No.
yeah, or not come back to a level that feels good. Like just kind of go, oh well, might as well have cookies at breakfast, whatever, right?
hmm hmm
So,
Well, the first element we'll talk about specifically is how not to get sick. So let's go right out of the gate. We already started to go there, but
mhm.
obviously the immune system is linked to everything.
Mm, mm.
Okay. If your
Well,
immune
so
system's compromised,
so
it's compromised.
just a refresher. So 80% of your immune system, and the system is such a interesting word. It's white blood cells, right? That's part of your defense mechanism, right? So those little warriors, 80% of them live on the outside of your gut, meaning like if your gut is like a tube, right? The outer lining from the outside of that, hose or whatever is the warriors of immunity for your body, right? And then the other ones are in your nose, in your nostrils, right? And maybe some in your mouth, right? So that's the ways that things can get into your body. People get the sore throat or, sniffles or whatever. But 80% is defending against leaky gut or entrances down there, right? So just that's what we're mostly talking about, is taking care of those systems and keeping that immunity, that army at a high level, right? And things that can degrade it, right? Poor sleep quality, toxins, right? Like everyday toxins, whether it's toxins and frequencies and the airwaves. It can be the poor quality of foods that you're eating, not getting enough
Mhm.
sunlight. Lots of things can diminish the quality, the strength of that army to defend against things that you might challenges, like family time and all the stress that goes on and the traumatic triggers. I mean, the chemicals that get released in an interaction with family, if it's, let's say it goes off the rails, right? I mean, the body's got to flush all that, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's
Exactly.
it's really looking at ways to help that immunity. And you talked about things that you can do. And so I would love to hear yours, and I'll share some of mine that I've done. So, like for example, I on Thanksgiving Eve, so the day before Thanksgiving, I was noticing just, like a lot was going on. Sleep had been irregular, just I'm not quite sure. I'm working on some hormonal, changes and temperature in the room and stuff like that. So just noticing I'm not feeling my game. I was like, I don't feel like strong and solid. And so I was like, okay, what can I do? So some of my go-tos, especially when you've like if I feel a tickle in my nose or a little something in my ear. So I think of like antiviral, right? So if there's something
Mhm.
that's gotten into my body. So one of them is oregano oil that I learned from a friend. I think people also do apple cider vinegar as like I mean, like it cleanses, vinegar is a great cleaner in your house, right? Like cleans out viruses and, bacteria and
Exactly.
whatnot. So an apple cider vinegar, and definitely supplementation. So a vitamin D and there's vitamin D you want to take with, is it like K12?
Okay.
K,
Hmm.
yeah. So don't just get vitamin D, get like a D3 with a K so that it
Hmm.
absorbs it. Vitamin C and zinc, some magnesium, things like that. And then little herbs. So ashwagandha and elderberry are great for that. So
Hmm.
that's a little laundry list there of things that I think about as I'm going into either, oh, I feel something in my body. And I mean, people think of vitamin C and they don't really know how much they can take. I mean, you can take a lot of vitamin C. So just these little capsules that are like 500. Okay, go study this. I mean, I've seen people, you can take thousands of milligrams a day, so like during the season, I'm going to take 2,000 a day for the next.
You know when you've taken too much, you will get diarrhea. That's how you'll know, oh, I've tipped it a little bit too far and I can rein it back in. No need to panic, but
Mm-hmm.
then your body's basically overly saturated and it starts to, want to shed.
Flush that, flush that. How about you? Any,
Totally.
and I have some dietary things that I shift, for immune boosting, but what about you? Anything that you are fond of, your
Well, I
strategies?
take all of those things for sure. I also take quercetin, which is
Mm,
antioxidant and really is helpful in the immune
yes.
cell reaction, space, if you will. I do a lot of things related to my food additionally, but that's because I have food stuff. My gut tends to be a challenge. And it's not that I'm going to all of a sudden over the holidays eat all that differently, but yet I do. And I'm a sensitive person. So even if I got 5 or 10% different things in my diet that I would normally eat, so, like for Thanksgiving, for example, we had a gluten-free stuffing. Well, I don't eat stuffing on a regular basis, so it's gluten-free, but whatever. As examples of that, or we had gluten-free apple pie, which was freaking amazing, by the way. And I was like, "What? Are you sure this is gluten-free?
Whoa.
Hold up, bro.
Which one? Because I did the Sprouts gluten free and it was not good pie. So I would love to know what did
The
you?
Maine company.
Oh,
It's
yes.
literally from
I've
Maine.
had that. Yeah, in the freezer.
Yeah, you can actually go on their website, buy them frozen, they ship them to you. Now,
Sprouts.
I would never want to pay $30 for a pie that I'm going to have a slice of or whatever, and I don't care that much about things like that. But it was a really lovely treat, but I was also shocked at the quality of it. So anyway, so it's things like that that are like different, right? Things getting into your slipstream or whatever. So then I will take probiotics. I will also take digestive enzymes, just different things to help my gut
Hmm.
process all the comings and goings of these new things
Do you
that
have
might seem really exciting.
so what are your guidelines for probiotics? Because, there's all this theory like they don't work because they don't digest in the stomach because the enzymes or whatever. What do you find works for probiotics?
Yeah, there are a lot of different schools of thought on this, but there's also the science is changing all the time. This is a field, well, gut microbiome is a field that is right now getting flushed with billions of dollars and a lot of actual research. So you want to actually go to people that you trust, not just what ads are on Instagram or whatever, right? Like where are the scientists that you trust, and then what are they utilizing? But the ones that I bought specifically came from my doctor, my functional medicine doctor. I don't know that I would have just gone into a store and bought some. At this point, I don't know that the quality is actually there. But there are a lot of companies online, and they're never going to sell through mainstream market
And that's where I
places.
feel like, I've been in, like, I don't go very often, but like Walmart, will have like a whole vitamin section and there's like, oh, this, and I'm like, that is not like, that's just
Costco,
fluffy. Yeah. Fluffy
run like hell.
supplements. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not the quality that your body's really going to assimilate. So don't buy in bulk or, I mean, you
Yeah,
can,
and these things need to be refrigerated. I mean, they're a live culture.
yeah.
So if something is sitting on a shelf, it's already, that's not going to be working. It would not be alive, would it? Unless it had a bunch of preservatives and things in it to
And
hold
then that
10%
counters
of
it.
it alive. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So things of that nature. But I do think water intake also,
Yeah.
right? Like needs to go up for people because they're going to consume maybe an alcoholic beverage or maybe more coffee or other drinks than they normally would because it's like the holidays. So all of a sudden you're drinking a cranberry doodah, even if it's a mocktail,
Mhm.
but like that's a lot of extra sugar and things that you've got to counter. Wouldn't normally drink those things, but I did find like I was making a cranberry mocktail as an example. I'm also experimenting with sober curiosity right now. Not that I'm totally off alcohol, but I have, I'm just trying to not do it and see if it makes a difference. And I don't need it. Like it's not making a
Yeah.
difference. But it's just one of these things that people have to figure out some of that stuff on their own accord.
Yeah.
So food's huge, right? And the gut is massive for the immune system.
Yeah. And I think the thing that I think about is, gluten. So, breads and things like that. If there's ever a time to go dairy, or sorry, to go gluten free, the holidays is the time,
People would
if
say it's the hardest time, and you're adorable because you're like, well, it's time to do it.
this is the best time because if you're going to, have all these extra other stresses and toxins and stuff like that, don't add to it. If you don't know what gluten does in your gut and in your belly, please look it up. Like I have a friend that was just the other day saying, just bread. He's a longtime sandwich eater, whatever. Bread, loves bread, sandwiches, all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, just bread just kind of puffs up my stomach. And I was like, it's not the
Mhm.
bread, it's the gluten in the bread. It's like, hello, try and experiment. If now's not the right time for you to experiment otherwise. But it's really amazing when you do find your lane in gluten-free items, right? Like you find the products that you like not all pies. Like I said, you found a great pie. The main company is great. Got one at Sprouts. It wasn't so great. But you can find those in the right. I have a bread my carbonate is my go-to seeded bread, gluten-free. It's amazing. So finding your things that allow you to have those things without the gluten, which is, because what it's doing is it's just, causing havoc
Gut
in that gut.
permeability.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
And so, therefore, activating the immune system, they call it mast cell activation. Basically, when all the cells actually go, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Right. And they literally just cascade into
yeah.
warfare. If you think about the immune system, how you described it, and these things coming through the digestive tract,
Mhm.
creating literally a war between the inner and the outer world. And then of course, the leakiness or the permeability
Leaky gut.
dysbiosis starts
Yeah.
dysbiosis. Yeah.
So if you're putting things in your body and in your belly and they're going through this digestive tract, and if you're treating it like a garbage can and willy-nilly, and all of a sudden all the immune cells are like, we're under attack, right? You only have so much in your army. Like you have whatever, a billion, a million, whatever. You have this army. And then you're like also adding alcohol. Oh, and then you're out in germ-filled rooms and you're not washing your hands in environments that you're not accustomed to, new people, everybody walks in a different. It's amazing to me. We all walk around with our own basic garden in our belly, right? Little bugs and all this stuff
Even on our skin.
on our skin. And then we go into a different environment where we meet, families of 30 get together. And those people aren't used to hanging out together. And they're all bringing their own belly bugs and skin bugs and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Washing your hand frequently. I would say blowing your nose. Like I make it a thing about blowing my nose throughout the day and washing my hands just to keep those things from coming in. But if you're doing other things, not getting good sleep and whatnot, the immune system is working on one thing, your gut, protecting that. That's like your number one defense. So if you add other things on top of it,
You
so
can't handle it.
yeah.
Well, you mentioned sleep real quick, so let's make sure we touch bases on that.
Yeah.
Getting enough sleep,
Mm,
period, is
hmm.
an obvious thing, right? Like people are maybe staying up later. I don't know if they're sleeping in or whatever they're doing. Like I feel so strongly that like if your sleep isn't on, nothing is on.
Hmm.
Like the body does not know how to deal. It doesn't know how to process food. It doesn't know how to process stress. It
Yeah.
cannot regulate its hormones. And of course, your immune system is going to be compromised. Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, if you're traveling, looking at, okay, not cramming all the, I mean, you got to do what you got to do if you got to work and you got to drive late to get to the place that you're staying or whatever. But then
Mhm.
allow yourself to sleep in and, have times of rest or naps, especially like, a lot of people go to the mountains during the holidays. It's like, okay, are you taking into account you need more oxygen and more sleep and sleeping at elevation? So are you hydrating fully and just preparing yourself for those cold temperatures, just in all the ways, right? So like be mindful as you enter a new environment, whether it's a family gathering, like, okay, how am I going to keep my immunity up around this? Like, what have I taken in preparation? Am I well slept? Should I leave early? Do I need to stay up late with everybody talking until the wee hours of the morning? Is that the best thing? But overall, yeah. So maybe you make that choice, right? Maybe that's what's best. Like, oh, I'm only going to see this person once this year or something.
Yeah, and let's just double click on something that you said that's related to the next element around getting fluffy during the holidays too. You are in charge of the environment you are putting yourself in.
Mm,
Okay, so if you are choosing to put yourself in an environment, because last time I checked, most of us have some freedom
yeah.
and agency over our decisions, right? Last time I checked. I don't know that. Let's hope that doesn't change. So you decide to go into these spaces and visit these people or go wherever or travel or whatever you've decided to do. But be conscientious, have awareness around the decisions that are going to impact these really critical elements of your health,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So, what time am I traveling? Again, like what you said, do I have to stay up with these people because they're staying up to 11 o'clock and doing whatever? Like, I don't do any of that. I am so far over any of that shenanigans. Like, I'm the boundary queen. But if somebody wants to stay up and do that, why are we all doing that? So I prefer to like create environments or be with people. You and I are very like-minded. We can travel together well. Like I have those kind of people, right? We're all getting to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock or 9:30. Like we're not doing these behaviors
Yeah.
because we all value our health more than we value that extra hour of TV or whatever
Hmm.
the heck the thing is. So don't be afraid to just make that choice and be the bold one in the family circle or in the friend circle or whatever, who's like, yeah, well, I'm going to be leaving now because I'm going to exercise in the morning,
Exactly.
whatever your thing is, right? Okay.
Choosing you, right? And I think one other
Choosing
thing I
you,
would
dude.
I would add to this is I love that you said boundaries, and I think it's, and I can definitely say I've fallen prey to this in my own mind, is this obligatory family dynamic, right? Oh,
Mhm.
well, it's my family, it's my mom, it's my parents, it's my whatever, that we feel like we have to play a role or some expectation or whatever. It's like, how, so A, if it's done from a guilt or a shame or whatever, you're not going in with the right energy. Like, and if you expect, and expecting things to be different than they've always been, unless you're different in those environments, right? Like, okay, like you're shooting 10 out of 10. This isn't going well. Every year you go back and you fly home and you hope that, whatever, like my friend, and it just tanked on Thanksgiving. It's like, well, you have family members that aren't doing the work and they're not willing to take responsibility and stuff. How much more of that do you want to put yourself into? Like, does
Mhm.
that really serve you to keep going into that environment? Like, oh, it's my family. Oh, it's the holiday. It's like, you don't really hang out with those people the rest of the year. So, like
Mhm.
until you can, have healthy dynamics and conversations and they're agreeable as well, maybe choose your family, choose the family.
Well, I will say that can be maybe a lot trickier than how you're
It
gracefully
is.
stating it, even though I agree 1000%.
It
I
is.
know many, many people. I have a big family. So, like, there's element to, I do want to see those people and spend time with them. And you can do that, by the way, if you've got boundaries and not fall into these dysfunctional patterns that are not good for your mental and physical health. It is possible.
Totally.
So, but like you have to go in with so much awareness. So I'm not expecting them to be different. I gave that up a long time ago, but I'm definitely expecting myself to be different because I've invested time and energy thinking about things differently, looking at the world differently, getting really clear on my values, getting really clear on how I will or will not engage, boundaries, right? Things of that nature.
Yeah.
Expecting them to agree to this change. That might not happen in a lot of families, but it doesn't even mean that you have to tell them what you're doing.
No.
You're
Yeah.
just doing you.
Yeah. And be
This was
100%
fine. I
responsible.
came for dinner. I ate the things that worked for me, and I'm going to be leaving. Love you. Bye. I mean, figure out a strategy that works for you people. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. And be 100% responsible for your experience in that environment, right? It's like, okay, well, if so and so, family member, cousin, whatever, has you're a tree, something,
Is crazy.
yeah. Well, this one was like, yeah, somebody was like, all kinds of like fist fights started going. I was like, whoa, yeah, yeah.
Dang.
It could, I mean,
That's
family
next
time.
level shit right there.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So I mean, I have never been to a family gathering like that before, but I don't, if I, well, who knows? Like, I don't think that's happened in their family either, but it's amazing how our family dynamics can really bring up the old for us to look at. And if we don't have, really good toolkit in our back pocket, and like you said, awareness and intention, how
Mhm,
you're going to manage this, yeah, the family members are probably going to do what the family members have already always done.
mhm,
So decide if you're ready for that challenge, if you're ready for that experience,
mhm.
and if not, maybe skip this year and keep working on yourself or go into,
Do it in a very small dose.
yeah.
The smallest dose you can possibly contribute and be like, hey, we're good here. Or like, I'll be submerged in these multi-day things wherever and
Mhm.
whatever. And I am walking out the door of said house, whatever, whose ever house it is, not relevant to me, at all times of day,
Mm,
3, 4, 5 times a day. I am like, do, bye bye.
yeah.
Right. Because I sense an energy is shifting or a behavior of alcohol consumption or whatever the things are like shifting. And I'm like,
Mhm.
while y'all be doing that, I'm going to go hump up and down a mountain, or I'm going to go see what's happening over
Mhm.
here or whatever.
Mhm.
Right. So just tricks and techniques and things for making it work for you.
Yeah, keep centered, keep the balance. Yeah. So,
We talked about booze,
yes.
basically your immune system and booze. I mean, all things in booze,
Hmm.
it's a pro-inflammatory ingredient that is man-made, because even if your alcohol is coming from natural sources, right, the processing, whatever, it's pro-inflammatory. It goes into your body. Again, you're going to have a histamine reaction, some kind of cellular reaction on any level. That's just natural. That's why you get the flush and you get the, sexy feeling, and you get all the things that you think are what you need to have a good conversation. But ultimately, as that streams through your blood system, and elevates your blood sugar, which is not great, and then starts to get into your gut and create more permeability within the gut, you have compromised your immune system.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah. And I would say two things: the sugar. So alcohol, just look at it as sugar. Bread, look at it as sugar. These things just turn into sugar in the body. So sugar is, weakening the immune. That's number one thing is it weakens the immune system and then it causes inflammation. So that's just like a storehouse for bad things to fester, if you will. And
Mm-hmm.
then I would say, like, as I look at alcohol and where I've gone with it, is like, is it worth it anymore? Like, I just look at, like, because that I feel like when I was in the paradigm, and I'm saying this for decades, like the paradigm of, oh, alcohol makes me feel good and this, that, and I hadn't, even as healthy as I was, I hadn't really seen and really wanted to take a good enough look at the downside. Like, I wasn't willing to look at the downside because I only saw the upside. Like, I had wired my brain, like, oh, this is great. This makes me feel good and good times and hang out with people, whatever, and all these places that you get to go that people drink and it's acceptable. And then as I did my 75 hard where I didn't do alcohol for 75 days. So you find other things to do and you find other, ways, all the stuff. And then I did it again and it was like, what, alcohol? Like reintroduce it was how it, like I had done it for so long that it just was like, do I want to reintroduce it? And then if I did and I saw how I felt, was like, am I willing to feel that way for that experience? And I'm just am now my paradigm, my neuro associations that I have in my brain is it's more like it's dissonance. It creates dissonance for me to drink alcohol, whereas it used to create pleasure. So,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
which not everybody's ready for or wants to or whatever, and
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. But yeah, so all
And
right.
I got a whole thing on sober curiosity if you haven't listened to that podcast yet. And I will talk about alcohol under the fluffy element too. It's got
Mm,
some nuances to it. And then the last thing I think for immune system before we talk about getting fluffy, run, everybody run. No, I'm just kidding. Loneliness and
mm,
connection or lack of, and
mm.
how it affects your immune system and really impacts how vulnerable you can be in the immune system way of thinking about how you relate to the world and others.
And I want to say, loneliness, because some people think of social media as a way to stay connected or whatnot, but
Hmm.
I would say conversations
Mm.
disrupt loneliness, not watching other people's activities or just seeing like through a television or a phone what's going on in other people's lives.
Mm.
That's not going to create connection. If anything, it's probably going to create comparison, not good enough. Look at their life, whatever. So
Totally.
conversations with people, like you said, anti-loneliness is, whether it's in service or just supporting people or talking, so being in conversation or in person, even better. Yeah. The only other one I would say dietary, just I, the studies I do. So, dairy, like
Mm.
just avoid all the dairy stuff at the holidays, especially because that's, because it's got a lot, has a lot of hormones and stuff in it and antibiotics, because cow fields and the way that they're processed are so low quality these days. So if you're doing dairy anything, know that that's an immune compromiser, especially the buildup of mucus, right? So if you have any mucus like symptoms starting to develop, anti dairy will help with that. It's not a like, oh, it'll get rid of it, but avoiding dairy is my other one. And then some other little things like Ayurvedic, they recommend like ginger, turmeric, black pepper, and cinnamon, just some throwing those in as finding ways that you can incorporate that cinnamon, like a little cinnamon in your latte or something like that.
I do it every morning.
Oh,
Every
nice.
morning. I can't get the turmeric. I have curcumin I've been putting in things because it's
Mhm.
milder taste,
Yeah.
but turmeric is like, whoa, pow, so it can only go like in certain dishes. Same with ginger. Like ginger is really good for you, but it's like, whoa, dude, settle down a minute.
Much, so much.
So
Yeah.
figuring it out.
Yeah. Good.
Mhm.
Cool. So, anything else on immunity?
No, but the link between what we just talked about is not getting sick
Hmm.
during the holiday season and the not getting fluffy where we're going next, which are really people don't want either of these, by the way.
Hmm.
But the
Hmm.
link between the two of them, I just want to make sure that we tie with a nice little bow is your nervous system regulation. So
Exactly.
if your nervous system is not regulated, if you are a dysregulated person, hello, all of society, all people, okay?
All of us at times, for sure. Yeah.
And if you haven't learned the tools to help down regulate and to recalibrate that nervous system, and we've talked about that on future episodes, or sorry, past episodes, and we'll talk about it again on future episodes. And we're going to do some programming around this in 2026.
Yeah.
Actually, we're going to be teaching like live skills to people. Look at us having skills workshops.
Yes.
But if you don't have awareness about that common thread, you need to start really doing your homework there and understanding. And it's also very hot in the latest and greatest with scientific research and all that stuff, but nervous system regulation, vagus nerve regulation and toning, all that kind of stuff. But if you're constantly stressed and unregulated, easily triggered,
Mm-hmm.
easily responsive, cortisol and stress hormones just going chaotic, everything just feels like a hot button to you.
Fight and
Like
flight. Yeah.
this word of like everybody is, over exhausted over this, under overwhelmed, blah blah, all the overs. That's just regulation,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that will lead to both of these things. It will lead to getting sick, and it will lead to getting fluffy.
And I think just on a quickie point, it's, having either daily practices or tools in your toolbox for regulating it, right? So having like you and I have morning routines, whether it's some exercise, meditation, walking in nature, things to just wake up in a
Yeah.
steady state. Like people who get up and just get in the car and go, like there's no recentering, like clearing that mind and kind of like, okay, all is well, and I'm going to go into my day. So however you want to start your day, like you own the day. And then during the day, pulling back or, coming away from things in those moments that reground you and reconnect you. The slow, deep breaths. Vagus nerve is great. I think my favorite one is just sighing out, right? So just that's a signal, you're not being chased by lions, so there's nothing to, attack you. So, okay.
Hmm.
Yep, good call.
So no, let's just because I was going to say that to labor. Let's just actually keep on that for a hot second. So you mentioned sighing,
Mm.
humming, singing. Okay, in that same vein
Yeah.
is activating and really calming and toning the vagus nerve. Cold therapies of whatever type. Not that you're going to get up in the morning and take a cold shower, but getting cold exposure throughout the day. And lots of people are living in cold environments. Not me, south of Palm Springs, but all those other people.
Yeah.
But even now, when I go out in nature a couple times during the day, I am going out in the morning when it is colder.
Mm.
And actually, I will even take my shirt off and just have like a sports bra and like get that cold exposure, wear shorts, breathe in the cold air, submerging your hands in cold water. Like these things are calming to the nervous system, which is
Mm.
kind of interesting. It's like a nervous system
Mm.
reset,
Mm.
which is really important.
So what I was thinking is because we're in different climates slightly is for me, because another one for me that's part immunity or just well-being is sunlight, right? So we talk about vitamin D, great, take it, but
Yeah.
so my usual fare is getting out in nature first thing in the morning. A, it's super colder then, and B, it's dark then. So, can you shift your routine so you're doing a midday walk with a little bit of sunlight and sunshine on your face, on your skin, because when the skin and body and the eyes can absorb the rays of light, and there's so much more coming in from a sun ray than just vitamin D and what we think of, right? Like we just have no idea yet the amount, like we're light beings. Like if you don't know that, you're made of photons, okay? You're a light being. So if you get this big old beautiful sunlight, our planet grows because of the sun. Like we eat sunlight, basically. Plants turn it into photosynthesis and we eat sunlight. It's transmuted. So like getting out and getting that sunlight on your body directly. If you can do that, just, we get up in the morning, we go to work, indoors all day, come home, get inside. It's like do something to intend for sunlight to be on your body and every day. You in the beautiful warmer climate, that's easy, but can
Oh,
you?
yeah.
Yeah. And the other one that I think, and I think the research is going to get stronger in this over the next decades, is grounding, because,
Mm-hmm.
in the summertime, we can be more likely to maybe have shoes off and feet on the earth and flip flops or, like walk at the beach or something like that. In the wintertime, usually it's colder, right? So we don't have those instances of getting our feet connected to the earth. And there's a lot, I would say, if you study it, grounding, really, we're part of the earth. So it has to do with our electrons, like the
Mm-hmm.
magnetic field. So getting that rebalanced by the earth. So if there's any way, if you're not living in a snow-packed, climate, to take your shoes off for some part of the day, if that feels good, and reconnect with the earth, that can help you as well.
Well, for many, many reasons, just take your shoes off when you're indoors. I mean, come on, people. But also, you can buy I think they're called earthling mats. My sister-in-law uses one of these under her desk, and basically, you take your shoes off while you're working,
Oh,
or if you have a standing desk, great, and you stand on a mat, and the mat actually gives those currents
that,
and restabilizes the energy system. Okay, this is cool.
that's
Like,
awesome.
what the hell is this coolness? I know.
Awesome.
And she was like, oh, my hippie aunt sent me this thing. What do you think about it? And I'm like, well, if you don't want it, I want it. And it's freaking brilliant. And I immediately went on and did a bunch of research. I said, that's a yes. I set it up. I plugged it in. I was like, take your shoes off. Let's go. Like, this is so cool.
Good.
There's other ways just by going out in nature, right? Like, look at the plants, touch the plants,
Mhm.
see the earth,
Mhm.
see the mountains. I live in one of the, where I live in this particular neighborhood for a reason. I am surrounded by these huge desert mountains
Mhm.
and even some high, pine forests and stuff like that. But I can visually see nature no matter what I'm doing out every window and all the things or whatever. So that also is very calming for
Mhm.
my brain, for my nervous system, for me to feel grounded in that way.
Mhm.
um, Energetically, let's make sure we talk about the people that you're around and the energy that is being exchanged there. That's affecting your nervous system in a
Mhm.
big way. We talked about it earlier about going into dysfunctional family environments. Seek out positive
Mhm.
energy environments. Where
Mhm.
are your people?
Totally.
Okay, where are they? And if you need to pick up the phone and call them, don't text them, pick up the phone and call them, hear their voice, have a verbal exchange,
Yeah.
or you need to make a coffee date once a week. Yesterday, I went on a long walk with a friend of mine from the gym I hadn't seen because I haven't been to the gym, right? I've been injured. And it was so good for both of us.
Mm.
We could have just kept walking all day long, but it was like, la, 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 and positive vibes and like, here's what we're doing. Oh, and then
Serotonin. When women walk, serotonin gets created by the talking and walking. So yeah, serotonin going through your brain. So it's beautiful.
right? Or like you've got a roommate right now who's got some good vibes. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
like people can really recharge your
Yeah.
batteries.
And the opposite. So yeah, yeah.
And they can also
Choose
drain your
choose
batteries.
wisely. Choose wisely for
But
sure.
go get recharged by people that, I'm sure everybody has that person in their life. If not, you and I have cultivated many of these people with great intention. The more we can surround ourselves, and you're creating circles right now with great intention, where that is the thing.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
energy that's getting created in that circle of humans is next effing level. So anyone who drops into that is getting fed.
Yeah.
Go find those spaces.
We just had our final night of the Come Alive program, and it was so sweet for them to acknowledge each other and just really love on and appreciate. Like, I was like, oh, what did you get out of the material? And, like all this stuff. And they got so much out of just the sisterhood, like I'm stronger in the world because I know I have this group is kind of the vibe that they were saying is like, I knew I could get up to stuff, or I came in this group and you guys inspired me to something else. And right. And so choosing, like you said, the people that you spend time with and you're re-inspired by and re-energized by and supporting each other. It's not like it was always, super fun. There was like challenges and breakdowns and they supported each other. And it's like, yeah, get back in the ring, like go girl, so I love it. Mm.
Well, and like an example of that walk yesterday, what I've decided is I may or may not go back to this CrossFit gym because basically I hurt myself doing really heavy lifting
Yeah.
off of CrossFit very quickly and all these things. So I'm going to change up my programming for myself, my fitness and health and wellness programming as I age gracefully here. Not that I'm cutting back, I'm going to do things differently because I have some very specific goals I want to achieve. But that group of core women that I work out with, I call them the badass babes. I mean, amazing humans, all different ages. And we have 30 all the way up to 70. We have built this circle that is just unbelievably powerful and
Yeah.
so beautiful. And so I'm going to start hosting a hike probably every other weekend for this same group. So I can get them out into the mountains where I want to be and get them doing other things.
Yeah.
But so we can be together.
Yes.
It's still moving our bodies in nature, and then I'm sure we'll have coffee afterwards because everything good is followed by coffee. But so I'll make that effort,
Yeah.
right? With intention, I will be like, okay, that's a lift for me. I'm going to put in the time. There's
Invest.
12 women. I got to corral these 12 women. I got to, right? And it's fine. Like
Oh,
I'm about that because I so deeply understand the value for them and for me.
wow. Love it. So good. So how can you be doing that? So that's a meditation for you, and
Yes.
for me, one of the things I was telling you before we went on air is one of my intentions for 2026 is having more circles of community in my town. I have a lot of network
Mm.
outside of my town. A lot of my dear friends like you have left the area that I still live in. Maybe I'm supposed to move to where they are, but for now,
Maybe.
I know. But for now, this is where I'm at. And it's like, okay, how can I, with intention, create human connection, like live, the live feeling. So I'm thinking like Amanda, I was thinking about reaching out to her. Let's do some hikes. She's into Pilates. I'm like, maybe I'll try some Pilates. So yeah, yeah. So find that, like create your group, create your network, create your circles, your core people, let's not do it isolated anymore. So I dig it.
Totally.
I dig it.
Okay, here's how not to get fluffy. We already talked about some of the things, and if your immune system is not functioning, you're going to get fluffy. So, all the things that we just talked about at the first half of this are true and relevant, and you should pay close attention. Additional things to know about related to the gut and the microbiome, of course, is so that's where all of your nutrients are processed, right? People,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
nutrients, macro and micronutrients, are building blocks of the body. Every cell, every bone, every connective tissue, every nail, every hair fiber, like all of that comes from the things that we put into our body. Additionally, our hormones are regulated through our gut,
Mm.
and we regulate fat, like the usage of that energy fuel
uh,
source. It's a fuel source, like putting logs on the fire, and our appetite through those hormones
mm,
that are communicated through the gut.
mm,
So if our appetite is doing a lot of weird things and we find that, we're eating maybe more than we need to, larger portions or more often or whatever, there probably is some activity going on in your hormones and within your gut and the communication pathways of these hormones that are causing that.
mm.
So here's some basic things you can do. Now, we talked about booze, so we don't have to keep beating that. It's just a bad idea. If
Yeah.
you're going to do it in moderation. If you're going to do it, drink water also, or create mocktails, or figure out some other way. And then the timing of it. Like if I'm going to have a cocktail these days, it's going to be before my meal,
Mm,
one cocktail in the social aspect of whatever that thing is. And then I'm going to very quickly put quality food in
mm,
with that. I'm not going to drink it hour after hour after hour or go into the wee hours of the night. And I'm definitely not drinking alcohol with food during my meal or afterwards because it's
mm,
just all of that sugar will wake me up at
mm,
1 in the morning and it's going
mm.
to be a train wreck. So, anyway, we've talked about booze a lot, but
Yeah. Well, I
it's
think,
the holidays, dude. People booze it up
yeah. 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 For, the loneliness, the family ties, the
for all
stress,
the things we
the
just mentioned.
financial burden, and I mean, not to mention all the stuff that's going on in the planet outside of our lives that, they can put us on social media and remind us of that. Yeah.
Yeah, but booze is not the salve for the crazy brain,
Yeah.
or for the broken heart or for the loneliness. We think it is.
Yeah.
We think it's serving us in that way, but it's actually counterproductive. But anyway, I'm going to
Like
get
I
off that
said, I
for a
used to
second.
have a lot of associate, so, with eating disorder, you associate a lot of, at the time, a lot of good things with eating, overeating. Like I had a lot of, I didn't have a strong, it's like women who, have a baby and then they somehow forget about the pain of birth, it's like, oh, it's
Hmm.
having a baby, right? So they're willing to do it. And so with alcohol, it's like you think you're having such a good time, but, especially as you age, more bad morning. Like I can just remember, especially when I used to drink red wine, like in my 30s, and it was like wake up with these gnarly headaches. Found, you don't have to look far to figure out what that is, but if you don't know, like look it up. And I was like, oh, this red wine thing is not well for my body. So I got out of that and then went to a few other things. But now the further I get from it, it's like, am I willing to like compromise my immune system for these small gains, if you will? Like it no longer feels as good because you're more like a clean vessel, and then you feel the
Yeah.
toxins come into the body, and it's like the
Yeah.
brain doesn't function as well. Just yeah. So
Yeah. So the wine thing, just to jump in real quick, sulfites. So many people, I'm highly allergic, I cannot drink anything like that or anything that has sulfites or sulfate in it is,
mm.
and many people are allergic to it.
Wow, wow.
And so it will cause a histamine reaction. And then there's,
Mm,
again, this cascade, this cellular response of like, all hands on deck, hell's breaking loose, right? Yeah.
mhm.
Anyway, enough of the booze. Let's talk about food. Let's talk about food. Okay. Can we just eat fresh food? So obviously, year round, but not the holidays also. Can we just not make a little more effort to eat real food? I
Mm,
don't have any qualms about people eating holiday food and doing these fun things around food. It's cool. It's culturally, it's social. It's like, it's also all these fun, can be really fun. Um, but why can't the food be real food?
mm,
Like, can we make an effort to cook real vegetables? And can we make an effort to add, fiber and fruit and other things into the meal? And can we buy higher quality or eat, maybe less of a higher quality thing rather than thinking we need this giant volume of a turkey and this giant volume of a ham and this giant volume of bread and all these things, The reason that we eat these giant volumes generally is because hormonally we're dysregulated,
mm.
but in it, and we could be tired and we could be all these things, right? Our blood sugar could be doing this, which actually is a false reading to eat more. So all that could be happening,
Yeah,
but also they're nutritionally void a
totally.
majority of the time. So yeah, I'm going to eat freaking 3 bread rolls because there's actually no real food in the bread roll.
Hmm.
It's like, feels like I'm eating air.
Yeah,
It's not satisfying me. It's not satiating.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
It's
real food.
mentally and like on the tip of the tongue, but the body's like, what you got for me?
Yeah.
Flour and water. Well, thanks. Can I get some, some vitamins, some green leafy vegetables, some cruciferous vegetable for sure. And
Yeah.
do your
Totally.
best to avoid the packaging because the gut microbiome is, we talk about antibiotics. Well, preservatives in foods are like the antibiotics for your gut, right? So if you're eating foods that are packaged or dry, or not dried, but like put in, if
Shelf
you're
stable.
shelf
Hmm.
stabilizers, things that can sit on your shelf for more than, a couple of days, even breads. If you're not eating your breads, and again, preferably gluten free, but breads that could stay in the fridge, anything that can just sit on a shelf has got preservatives in it and it's killing the microbiome in your belly. So,
Hmm. Hmm. And I actually freeze my bread and I'll take out a slice if I'm going to have bread and
same.
put it in the toaster and cook the thing. Like I don't need to have a whole loaf of bread sitting in my fridge because then you have this idea around like, oh, I need to hurry up and eat it because it's going to go bad.
Yeah,
So, there's ways to figure all this stuff out. Stabilizing your blood sugar is really important. Okay, so how you pair your food and the timing of said food are big things. And if your blood sugar is elevated, it could be actually, I should back up. If your nervous system is dysregulated, it could be your blood sugar.
totally.
And we just talked about that for 20 freaking minutes, right? So look at that. But getting enough fiber in your diet, in your meals, so your meals being quality meals of whole food, right? Ideally, half vegetables. So that's your fiber content that's going to really slow things down as they move through the system, feed that gut microbiome we just talked about, and then some kind of healthy protein. And if you're going to do a carb, ideally a complex carb if you can, but it is the holidays. If you're going to do a bread product, a carbohydrate or gluten product, a quality version of that. So it's the pairing of all of those things that allow the system to work properly. And even that carbohydrate, if you can eat that at the end of the meal. So again, not having bread crackers up front, chips up front, carbs up front, spiking your blood sugar. And now by the way, that's just swelling up in your gut.
Start with the salad. Always start with the greens and the salad. Eat in that order too. I want to give a shout out to the glucose goddess. So if you ever want to
Oh,
like, yeah, I don't know if you've followed her.
who's she?
The glucose goddess, she does a ton of little charts on what happens to your blood sugar. Like if you were to eat a meal in a different order, she'll have a chart like that. Like if you eat the, like you said, the bread, the rolls
Carbs.
before, yeah, if you eat the rolls or the crackers or whatever before you eat the salad, whatever, like here's what your blood sugar looks like versus if you eat it in a slightly different order, same meal even, So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so
It has
huge.
such a different impact.
And just knowing that, like we're not taught that, we just eat, what's on our plate or whatever, but it
Hmm.
does make a difference. And I would say just while we're on that topic, so one of the things I learned so Zoe, Zoe is where I did my blood glucose monitoring from. I love that company. They did a great job. Learned a lot about mine, and then that's how I found the glucose goddess. So I could just like study stuff without having to monitor mine all the time, but taking the knowledge that she's acquired. And what I've discovered, one of the things is going for a walk 30 minutes after. So if your blood sugar is, kind of spiking or, you've eaten food that's going to elevate it, the act of the walking gives that sugar somewhere to go. Like,
Yeah.
so it's
And you
great.
actually want to do it a little bit faster if you can. Within 15, ideally
Okay.
15 minutes, no more than 30 minutes. But
Okay.
yes, I have that down here in exercise
Okay.
snacks
Yeah. Okay.
is like that's huge,
Yeah.
huge. So let's just talk about it because you're spot friggin' on. And a lot of people will be like, well, I can't go out and walk because I have three little kids, whatever their story is, the relatives and all the things. You can go do an exercise snack. So it could be that maybe you can do a 10, 15, 20, or 30-minute walk. Amazing. Heck yes. By the way, that's a great mental and emotional break from said relatives, just pointing out the obvious, right? And you're getting some sunlight or some fresh air. There's so
Oxygen.
many things are
Yeah.
right about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's free. I mean, yeah, we could just go on for a whole episode just about walking, but anyway, or walking in nature. You could also just go climb some stairs for 10 minutes.
Clean your house. Yeah. Clean
You
your
could
house.
clean your house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do some
You
things.
can do squats in place.
Mm-hmm.
Squats in place. All of these things are doing the same thing, bringing that blood sugar up into the muscles so it can get utilized, transported, utilized, and exit the building, get processed to the places it needs to go in the body rather than just sitting on the sofa
Yeah.
and letting it just fester and fester until it will wake you up at 1 a.m. Oh,
Yeah.
it will, because it's got to get processed eventually,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, that actually is like the money. Jump rope.
Mm.
I jump rope. I'm a jump roper. I don't have a jump rope currently in my house because I was doing it at CrossFit, but there's so many things you could do. And you can do that with yourself, escaping the dynamics of said moment, or do it with friends. Like if you and I were here, we'd go do it together.
Hmm.
Maybe I've got kids and I'm going to go jump roping with my kids in the front
Or jump on
driveway.
your bike or play a little basketball in the driveway or whatever,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah,
Anything.
yeah.
Move the body, anything, and try and get everybody else to do it. And if you can't get everybody else to do it, because you know you're being a positive influence, if they don't want to do it and they think that you're the crazy one, I've always been sort of the crazy one in my family. Oh, there she goes, going out of the house again, or whatever. I don't mind being the crazy one, but you're still having an influence, an impact. You know,
Mm.
there people are watching and they're noticing and they're paying attention, whether they're taking action or not. They're
Mhm.
registering. And I do have, stepkids and grandkids and all these things now, right? And they all, or I've had them for a long time, but they will say to me, oh, I really love when we come to your house or we do stuff with you because it's always going to involve an activity and there's always going to be healthy food choices. And I'm
Mm.
like, damn, look at me. I did that.
Mm.
I'm the one in the family. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm a rock star, right? Like that little bit of influence, if that's what
Yeah.
I delivered into these humans' worlds
Yeah.
over my lifetime relationship with them, I'm like,
What's
winning.
rubbing off on them? Yeah, totally.
Totally, totally winning. Okay, so we talked about blood sugar, timing of the food, spreading these meals out, smaller amounts of
Mhm.
food. We don't need to do these massive elements. We had Thanksgiving dinner, and I said, well, how about if we take this meal we're going to have, which is larger than we normally would have, and we spread it over lunch and dinner?
Mm.
So let's eat some of these things now, and let's eat some of these things later.
Okay.
Do we have to have all of this in one giant setting? Because I like these types of foods. I normally don't have them in my house, but I want to have a little bit over here, and then I want to be able to enjoy them over here,
That's
you know?
great. That's great.
So that was a little technique that we used, and that was not everybody got on board with that. But again, I'm a boundary queen, so I did it anyway. Uh, yeah, that's all I want to say about food.
Mm. The
Okay.
only thing I would add that you and I were talking about before we got on is about, and we'll talk as we go into like detox and
Okay.
stuff, which is a big thing for me, is, after the Thanksgiving dinner, I just, like I said, pre-Thanksgiving was feeling a little off, so I was boosting my immunity. And so whenever you have a moment, I was noticing, Thanksgiving, eating things like breads and like a whatever. I was like, this didn't feel great. So the next morning for me, what felt good is to skip breakfast. I was like, okay, because I wanted to do so two things that I enjoy doing in terms of detox. So, or there's three, let's say. So one is two things you can ingest to help the body pull toxic things out of it, right? One is wheatgrass. So there's little shots you can get like a Jamba Juice or Whole Foods or something like that. You can get a wheatgrass shot. Number two is activated charcoal, which is a powder or you can get it in a tablet and pills and stuff like that. And just know if you do either of those two, for them to work, you don't eat, drink other things around it because otherwise there's like little sponges that go into the body and they like suck up, things. So if you're taking your supplements and you're taking activated charcoal, well, it's just sucking the supplements out of your body, like don't do that. So I was like, okay, I'll skip breakfast and I will do that and just a lot of hydration and whatnot. And the other one is we talked a little, I think lymphocyzing, right, is so helpful to a body that's got stuff sort of clogged up and backed up and whatnot. So lymphocyzing is basically, as you've said in other episodes, like it doesn't have a pump, right? So the heart has a pump, moves all the blood, lungs are pumping, if you will. Your lymphatic system, you've got lymph nodes all over your body, under your chin, all these places in your armpits. They're the storehouses of, I'm just going to call it shit. It's like it's where the body's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to go put it in the lymph nodes, right? Well, to
Mm-hmm.
pump that garbage out of the body, whatever's gotten clogged in there, you need some up and down movement. So it can be bouncing. People have like those little trampolines, like regulators. You can just bounce on your feet, just moving your, up and down. some people have said that running isn't lymphocyzing, but I swear it's like, it's got to be. But people say it's not. But basically, up and down, right? So sometimes I'll brush my teeth and just kind of bounce, right? Just a bouncing move. So whatever that looks like for you, I think doing some squats up and down can help the body move that. And walking is I think also a good one for that.
It's muscle contraction.
Mhm.
So definitely running would be a thing, but any kind of physical activity, if you dance or whatever the fun stuff is that you do, Pilates and all that stuff, muscle
Moving.
contraction is part of the pumping system.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, you got to clean that stuff out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got
So
to
that,
clean that stuff out. Exercise. Let's talk about exercise. I mean, we've been weaving it in, but we've talked about things that you can do. So taking breaks, obviously, throughout the day. And when I say a break, I should say a non-sitting break.
mm, mm,
Okay, so a majority of the time now, apparently, we've decided sitting. Sitting is a new smoking, right? So sitting is just what we all decide we do. And if you get in a group, everybody sits,
mm, mm.
and it is kind of fun to be the weirdo who's standing. But anyway, try that on for size. Why is she standing? Because I'm over here going, you know. But we don't need to be sitting for hours upon hours upon hours watching TV or even just talking to each other.
Or on the phone.
We
Yeah.
need to take breaks moving around, well, during these holiday times, even when you're in, whatever the thing is. Um, so I'd like to see people take breaks every 30 minutes, but even if every hour you took a 5 or 10 minute break of not sitting, of moving the body, and again,
Mhm.
moving all of this stuff that we just talked about through the body, including the lymphatic system, right? Super, super important that we do that. Um, and then we've talked about other ways that people can just integrate these workout snacks or whatever you want to call them, these movement snacks into their day. But I also want to just pay homage, if you will, to people who exercise. For you and I, exercise is a non negotiable part of our everyday life. Unless you're injured, exercise is part of our daily ritual, right? Whatever type of exercise we're into. And there's a lot of us out there who love our exercise. It is our time to self-invest. We get a lot out of it and we understand the value of it. But then the holidays happen and these different schedules, kids are at home, maybe traveling, whatever. And we just decide that that really important ritual of ours is no longer important. And we kick it out.
Mm, mm,
What in the hell are we doing?
mm.
Again, like that is not okay because we know for a fact that we value that. It's part of our value system.
Mhm.
And we know for a fact it works well for us. It helps us regulate all of these things we just talked about. And then we decide all of a sudden that, well, for the next week or 2 weeks, I'm just not going to do it because of these other people or other circumstances. And that's just a no-go for me.
Mhm. Mm.
Like I think, and anyone who's with me is going to know that they have, and hopefully you create this environment, people, for your friends and family. Hey, I'm going to get my walk on. What are you guys going to do today for exercise? Oh, you're going to stay here and watch TV? Okay, cool. Well, I'm still going. Like you just bring about awareness of this is just part of my daily routine. This is what I do. There's nothing strange about it. You
Mhm.
don't need people's permission
Mm.
to go take care of yourself.
And
And so I
invite them
just want to give a
along.
shout out to that.
Yeah, and invite people along. I learned so much with that 75 hard, how much 45 minutes of walking in a day, it's like so helpful. It helps in so many ways, emotionally, physically, all of that. So that, and I just want to give a little shout out to people who might be taking long drives or flights, right?
Oh,
So when I get in the airport, I'm standing as much as possible in the airport because I know I'm going to be pretty much required to be sitting in the airplane. So walking around the airport, not sitting in the airport, doing some laps, I mean, like I'll go in the Denver airport and I'll be like, if I got time, I'm walking, 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 making phone calls, whatever, right? So
totally.
moving, and then if you know you have a long drive, like, okay, we'll get the exercise, the movement in before, right? So get up at a time that makes exercise non-negotiable. Get that movement in because if you got a long drive, okay, you're going to be backed up. Body just
Or stop and take breaks because of this
mm,
back thing.
yeah,
I haven't been able to drive for long periods of time. And so I know it might sound ridiculous, but even like driving to the doctor's appointment, different things like, allowing more time and putting a break in there.
yeah.
It's not, it's just something, if you have kids, you have to do this anyway. They have to get out and pee or whatever. And we should be going pee.
Hmm.
If I'm hydrated, I need to pee, right?
Yeah.
So just not being so rushed about it
Mm-hmm.
all, right? And
Mm-hmm.
allowing that to flow. I know, I'm sure if people just, we should just put a camera on us at some point when we're like traveling and going to an airport or whatever. Because if I'm on an airplane too, I'm also that crazy person. Yes, I am getting up a gazillion times. You don't want to be the one sitting next to me if this is disruptive. And I'm doing this. And, if I'm traveling with somebody I know, and hey, go visit each other. And then I go to the back and I'm literally in the back by the bathrooms, like doing
Moving
some.
the body. Yeah. Yeah.
And the stewardess and flight attendants are like, oh,
They see us. They know. I'm sure we're not the only ones. I know there's other people that,
exactly.
yeah,
No, I
yeah.
think they want to join. They go,
Take
that was
good care.
fun.
And even just stretching, in those places. So keep,
Stretching.
get the body, get that, um, what's the fascia, get the fascia moving so it doesn't get all clogged up. And that helps with the lymphatic and all that. So yummy, yummy, yummy stuff. Yeah.
We gave people a lot of ideas. And frankly, if they just take a handful that works for them, I'm going to be stoked.
I would say, and maybe this is my one thing, or maybe it's not
Okay.
quite yet, but the like taking a read on your body,
Mm.
moment to moment, so like when I woke up after Thanksgiving, it could have just been like routine, have my breakfast, whatever. And I was like, no, what does my body need right now? Okay, body's like, yeah, I could use some flushing. Like that's what it just was calling for. Because, thankfully I've done longer detoxes, longer cleanses to know the benefit and know what happens and have studied this stuff. So it's like, oh, you know what my body needs right now is it needs a little break. It needs a break from
Mhm.
digesting. It needs a break from intake. Let it flush some stuff out. And it was just, I skipped a meal, right? Not like this fasting for 24 days or, I've done other cleanses. And then really just being in tune with what you need and giving it to yourself, giving yourself permission, even in environments that maybe there's no agreement for you to do that, or they're not going to do it, or they expect this. It's like you said, having boundaries. Like, you know what, guys, I'm getting up in the morning. I'm going to go hike that mountain, or I'm going to go out for a walk. I would love for you to be there. And then I'll come back and we can have family time or whatever. Or I'm going to bed early now, take care of my rest. We had a long drive today, so it's lovely to see you all, and good night.
And good night.
And good night. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Well,
And
what I want to say in my closing argument is, what you choose to do
mm,
and what you choose to put in your mouth is a statement
mm,
about how you want to feel.
yeah. Yeah.
If you want to feel a certain way, you will be making statements very loudly to yourself by your actions and by what you're putting in your mouth. So whether it's around sickness or the fluffiness, like those are just things that we have control over. And I know how I want to feel. And I do think most people want to feel energized, alive, have fun, humor, joy, all of that kind of stuff, and just comfortable in your skin as you move around,
Hmm.
so it just makes sense to make good choices.
Yeah. And I think it's not, some people will look at these New Year's resolutions and exercise is like a chore and got to get up to something, got to drop all these pounds after the holidays. And it's like, if it feels like punishment, it is. So that's not something that you're probably going to enjoy doing long term. And I think fitness as a lifestyle is like the motto, like that's your home is this is a lifestyle. What would feel good to me? How can I be compassionate with myself? How can I take good care of myself? And having the boundaries, the presence of I'm going to take care of me during this period so that I can be the best me around these people, and it may
Mm-hmm.
not match what they're expecting. I might say no. Like I know people, especially when I've been more staunch vegan, vegetarian, and whatever I'm doing at the time, gluten free now. It's like I just will bring my own food, or I will say no to things that are served. And that, well, look at me however you want, or whatever who cares? Who cares? Like, this is my temple over here, right? So give yourself permission to, if you're going to a place where you're not comfortable with the food that's going to be served, or you're not sure your needs are going to get met, it's okay to bring what will serve you and be, like, criticism be damned or judgment be damned or whatever, like take care of you. You matter.
Mm-hmm.
You matter.
Yeah, yeah. If anyone's throwing shade on you, it has nothing to do with you. Actually, it has to do with them.
Totally.
But yeah,
Well
so it's
said.
just deflect the shade. Put
Yeah.
your shades up. Put your shades on
You're
while
like,
you're eating that gluten free.
I want to look into this because you just don't know something I might know over here that you may want to find out about.
Have you noticed me on my A game over here? Have you noticed me? What's up, right?
Like, have you noticed I still weigh about the same amount that I did in high school and more fit than ever? So, there could be something there for you to discover. So,
It's all lifestyle, dude. This is what we're doing. All of the things. It's so fun to be doing this, isn't it? Look at us doing this fun work in the world.
keep it up, keep it up. So, you guys
Okay, lady.
give yourself that permission. Just love on yourself the holidays. And if you have a blip or like, oh, like had too much wine last night, whatever happens, like, okay, get up and get back in it, like take care of you. What do you need? What do you need? Taking care of you. So,
Exactly. All right, let's close it up.
let's tell them what we always remind them of, how
What do
awesome
we
they are.
say? What do we say? How your life feels is way more important than how it looks.
And every day is your opportunity to find your awesome.